I'm not saying after say a Chief Justice finally John Mahama Ghana man penny a yes a wait to me no and year to make you know. Abia and send the banana air caution. Now, Mensaka ye info be a baby dropping in a channels on amounts work with the aircon. Next answer message for that man. Ubu alien classes when you're subscribing from my YouTube channel. Now I subscribe them. We are free so better writing. Our comment section on a video so etting I come and never detail answer after say a John Mahama Ghana man penny. Yes, it won't be any Chief Justice any maybe and I just have a for and send me brain and the bank for a casa. It is Mahama, your year, no one's wrong. It is just why I did. Now we and our question about the 2 year change. Democracy, I see a year, and I say a year, or my conclusion, I must say democracy. No credit, a year, and I say a year, young inquity is answering me and from Bra. Message, so you subscribe,
Instead of separation of powers, as we had under the 1979 Third Republican Constitution, and when you say separation of powers, we are talking about the judiciary, we are talking about the executive, and then the legislature, the three being equal, and then checks and balances working, and then the judiciary having additional advantage of being independent of the two. In the case of the 1992 Constitution, I'm saying that it's not a democratic constitution, at best a paper tiger, simply because we have one creature called the executive with two wings. One is the judiciary and one is the legislature. So we don't have separation of powers here. And why do I say two wings? Let me start from the legislature. Members of the legislature are elected by the people of Ghana. The moment they enter parliament, the executive has got power to enter that house, look at the faces there, and select about 2/3 of them as his ministers. So here you see the encroachment of legislative powers by the executive. And to make things worse, these same people who are selected as ministers of the president will go and take cabinet decisions and come back to defend the decisions there. Again, to weaken them more. Because at the time the member of parliament was campaigning under the 1992 constitution. Let me start it where. You see, under the 1979 constitution, the member or the candidate campaigning to become a member of parliament would not tell you that I will give you water, I'll give you market, I'll give you this or that, because he knows that his destiny is parliament and he's not going to be a minister because of the separation of powers. In the 1992 constitution, the candidate is now empowered to tell the people that I'm going to give you this, I'll construct you, because potentially the president would appoint him as Minister for Roads and Highways, Foreign Affairs, Minister for Education, Minister for Interior. And when he's Minister for Interior, he can get plenty of people from his constituency to join the police service or whatever, the others, prisons, name them, fire service. So you see the scenario.
So then in this case, is this a healthy accountability exercise or an executive, a constitutionally enabled executive interference in the judicial process?
Beautiful, constitutionally enabled. As a result, you drift away from democracy. So it is just like saying that you want water to drink, and then we put some liquid here and put the paper tag on it, water. When you drink, it's not water. And let me make things worse for the legislature. Because you look up to the president to appoint you as a minister, you ensure that you don't offend the chief executive of state, and that's the president. So you are completely a wing of the executive arm. Now let's go to the judiciary. It is not equal party, it is a wing. Why is it a wing? The constitution says the president will nominate all judges of the superior court, that's the especially court of appeal, and then the Supreme Court. So it means that you see executive encroachment to that angle. And to make things worse for them is what has happened now, that when someone would want to petition for the dismissal of a superior court judge, I haven't mentioned the Chief Justice here, superior court judge, you petition the president. So you see the president smelling in here. You petition the president. Now, in the case of an ordinary superior court judge, when you petition the president refers the matter to the Chief Justice. Then the Chief Justice will weigh it whether there is merit in it. Whether it contains merit is the Latin term prima facie. So when he sees that there is some merit in it, now he engages the judicial service or judicial council, the judicial council. Now the judicial council sets up a committee of 3. That committee of 3, their duty is to appoint 3 judges and leave the 2 to be appointed by the Chief Justice on the advice of the Council of State. So you see that substantially the work of the judiciary in the dismissal of an ordinary judge of the Superior Court is that of the judiciary, within the ambit of the judiciary. About 90%.
But when it comes to the Chief Justice,
when it comes to the Chief Justice, see the way it is crafted to make the president sack the Chief Justice so easily. This time, when you send the petition, it does not go to the judiciary arm of government. It goes to another arm of the executive. That is the Council of State. It is an arm of the executive, Council of State. So when it goes there, the 2 arms, the president and the Council of State, who technically are not lawyers or judges, now sit down to determine whether there is merit in it. Look, the mere fact that the president sends it to the Council of State for them to determine, makes it to determine whether there is prima facie case or not, becomes a political decision.
So it was a done deal the moment the petition was sent to the president. And how does that affect the public perception and public trust?
Because the question is an excellent one.
Okay.
Under the 1992 Constitution, if you were the Chief Justice of Ghana and you discover that somebody filed a petition and it was summarily thrown out, like the Dr. Kwaku Asawa, then you know that the president is courteous to you, he likes you. On the other hand, the moment you see that the president says there is merit in it, because that's what the Council of State is saying, then if you are smart, you quickly resign. Because there is no way you will have your head in peace. And what am I saying? Unlike in the earlier situation where we have 3 judges, and judges always have a reputation to protect, weighed against only 2 members of the public. Here, you have only 2 judges weighed against 3 people, all selected by the president. And my sister, in life, who would pick a knife and give it to his enemy to stab him? I will never do that. So the moment the president begins under the 1992 Constitution taking those steps, you should know that it has been predetermined that you will go home. And here I don't mean President Mahama, I don't mean Akufo-Addo, I don't mean anybody. I mean the fact that we are practicing constitution without constitutionalism. When you talk of constitutionalism, we are talking about a constitution having the international best practices that we are supposed to see in every constitution. And when we talk about just a constitution or the constitutionality of an act, anything that can be pointed to the Constitution as having a foundation without necessarily being democratic. So, what happened in 1992, I will say that it's not strange, because when you read the very subject of transitional justice, it tells you that in every situation, and it happened a lot in Southern America, that the military junta would want to convert into partisan politics. In all the situations, as I have said, the constitution is crafted to suit the military. So what you do is that you wait, because no matter what, they will not win or they one term, just as they will not lose at all. They will win both. So after ending their term of office, the military, like PNDC, became NDC. So at that time, between 1992 and the year 2000, it was just military. When the moment the leader leaves the scene, then
that should have been the opportunity to
the
change.
next government that comes now continues the process of democratization of the country.
But in this case, if the person who superintended over the judicial system herself mistrusted the system when these latest petitions were brought against her, and mind you, this is just one out of 3 petitions that have been brought, the reports of that. How can the ordinary Ghanaian then trust that outside or within that same judicial process that did or appeared for some to have not protected the Chief Justice, they, as ordinary Ghanaians, can be protected or granted a fairness or a fair process in their own judicial processes if they are also presented to same, devoid of political motivation and those conversations? How do you build trust in people after a whole Chief Justice has gone through this and has failed against the system?
There are 2 ways of building the trust. The first one is to make the meaning of Article 146, which we are dealing with now, so clear to the people for them to know that what is happening is not the fault of anybody, but it is something that is written in the Constitution, like something that is in the Bible, which has to be followed by Christians. That's one way of doing it, so that everybody, excluding the Chief Justice, that's her personal opinion, that she hasn't got trust in it. Why shouldn't you point to us areas that the committee or the president faulted? The reality is...
She did say that in the first instance, those petitions were not even sent to her before they were made public.
Article 146 does not say anything should be sent to you.
So it's one of the areas where people
That's
are saying
her own
we
problem.
need
Her
to...
misunderstanding of what is in Article, her deliberate misunderstanding of what is in Article 146.
So some have suggested that to avoid the ambiguity, make it clear by putting clauses in there so that we know that there's a clear progression of events from when the president receives a copy of a petition and what happens next and then subsequently.
You see, this is what we have. And I was trying to make a point that democracy is not achieved in a day when a country is moving from a military dictatorship to a civilian democracy. We don't get the democracy that day because the very soldier or military man is going to contest, and he is also supervising the building of the new constitution. So being human, it will go his tilt into his side of the angle. And we are saying that it is just a transitional process. It is a journey. So the moment the person leaves, the next president, and luckily for Ghana, we had the next president who was a lawyer, a very senior lawyer, Mr. J.A. Kufuor, who knew that the constitution was a transitional constitution and did nothing about it. And then another president came, wanted to do something. He died midway at Tamils. Then another person came who is defined in Ghana as a constitutional lawyer. And we also saw that in his campaign, he promised Ghanaians that he will change the constitution because it was very bad. And I know it is very bad. Now, when he was leaving after 8 years, his last interview, he specifically said nobody should touch the constitution, something that he had earlier on said is not that good. So now we are seeing the evil effect of Article 146, and the evil effect of this is that the dismissal of the Chief Justice does not become a judicial act, but a political act of the executive. The person who petitions is not a member of the judiciary. The one who receives it is not a member. The one who advises the court sitting somewhere, Council of State, is not judiciary. The team that set up with a marginal judiciary. As a result, the whole concept becomes what? That of the executive, because it is the president who appoints the 5, and especially the last 3 should be his own people. Look at our friend Domelevu, whom Akufo-Addo offended, whom the judiciary, Dr. Torkonoo, offended. And naturally, if this man is there and he's a human being like Anoche, what do you expect this man to do?
So is this then pure vindictiveness?
I won't say vindictiveness. It is an example of the inefficiency associated with our constitution. And my argument, Telma, is that if we litigate over this mobile phone and it gets to the Supreme Court, they will assemble 5 Supreme Court judges. Now you are talking about an attempt to dismiss the Chief Justice of the land. Here, I believe that you will need to assemble 7 justices.
Not 5
Not
members.
5 members to
with
2
2
years.
justices.
No.
Okay.
And then also, I believe that the report should be sent to, let's say, the Judicial Council to be vetted. But this one, it goes to the president.
Should we define stated misbehavior? Because we've seen key figures, including Madame Sophia Kufu, a former Chief Justice herself, coming out to say that the reason